Hi, it's Claire again. So, we're celebrating a new moon in Gemini today, the 27th of May, 2025, and looked at about three astrologers, Tanya Gabrielle, Molly McCord, and Pam Gregory, and I'll just summarize those. So, Tanya was really talking about Neptune in Aries and Saturn in Aries for the first time in 12,000 years, I think she said. And it's really going to make quite a difference to people. May 24th, Saturn rules the karma, timing, lots of stuff gets real. Saturn is about responsibility. Aries is about energy, and Saturn is more comfortable really with Aries, I think, than Pisces, where it was. So, and joining Neptune as well. Neptune and Saturn is quite interesting. It's going to help with breaking old patterns and everything being revealed really from May 24th. Saturn in Aries at 0°. So look at what is seeded and sets patterns, radical new beginnings with no playbook necessarily. So with Aries energy, be brave like the warrior that Aries is. It's ruled by Mars. Saturn brings that discipline and planning, and Aries isn't about planning because it's very of the moment and, just do it. Saturn is about slow, steady, and likes to achieve goals with less risk and understand before we move ahead. So the new moon in Gemini, 26 in America, I think 4.02 and 11:02 and 8:02 in Europe. So 11:02 Eastern time, I think 8:02 Pacific. And 2 days after Saturn enters Aries, Neptune is also in Aries. So this moon brings it in Tuesday or Monday in the USA, that is. So a lot going on. Gemini is sort of quick, concise. Media, it's about media facts, writing, speaking, nearby relationships, like relationships, friendships with neighbours, roommates, or family, close by. And Mercury is conjunct the moon and sextile to Neptune and Saturn. The Sun, Moon, Mercury, there's a triple trine, and Pluto is important to transform at this point, and we've got the outer planets moving in. Jupiter, Uranus yet to move to 0° of the new sign, but beliefs and ideas are being processed. Pluto rules Scorpio and the moon rules Cancer. So psychic awareness with water sign Scorpio would be magnified. The sixth sense may give new insight. Subconscious is now coming to the surface, and Pluto gets to root of things. There might be more confidence, leadership, releasing a purge by Pluto. Aries is more about inner fire and lots of positive change going on, really. And Mercury is about impact others via words and being recognized and conversation. And psychology might be heightened. So she had suggested go beyond previous ideas. It heightens connections, and you might feel like doing more research into things. The moon and sun conjunct Mercury, good for negotiations and practical things. Neptune about imagination, and inspiration, and Saturn about practical things. So take visions to reality and commit to what is meaningful to us. And the moon, sun sextile Neptune about empathy, creativity, and vivid dreams. Mercury is the messenger. So some of those, just getting thunder, I think. Oh, maybe not. It's my neighbours actually. Merging with Saturn. So get messages based on evidence, which is tangible. And it may stimulate shifts. Aries begins spring. So it's about new beginnings. And Pluto and Aquarius helping us prepare. So then I'm on to Molly McCord. She talked about May 26, 11:02 Eastern Time, or May 27th Europe. So the new moon is 6°, 5 minutes of Gemini, about new starts. And in 2026, Uranus will help us in changes. And I think she really mentioned this was almost a shadow foretelling of that. And a speeding up feeling with Gemini, and embodying new frequencies where we go, devices, phones, messages, ideas, conversations. it's pushing to 2026 Uranus in Gemini for so we're looking at shadows of changes to come and recalibrating our minds. So Gemini is kind of right and left side of the brain, and giving us a cohesive path. What are we newly learning? How do we react with new tech? Google's interface is actually called Gemini. I used it actually yesterday for the first time. New messages, ideas. It's about a new day dawning. And Pluto is moving retrograde 1 degrees of Aquarius and revolutionises where we are going and looks at future for ourselves and uplifting us. Pluto trines Mercury, Moon, and Sun, so more force and drive in new endeavours. And there's a sense of new dreams and getting clearer, specific, don't be indecisive. And Gemini, though, can be restless, so be careful and rethink things that have been limiting. Breakthroughs may happen. Travel plans might happen. Good travel plans might be a bit exhausting though, so give yourself rest and calm the mind. And Saturn in Aries 2 days before May 24th around then, and Neptune showing new beginnings made solid through effort and trusting a process, energy and new things in alignment with who we actually are. And Saturn helping what we start, it slows down. Be intentional, talk it through, even consider what are we talking about in 3 years' time, maybe in 10 years' time, what would be doing in relation to these ideas. Have solid alignment. So Aries, Fire, and Aquarius and Gemini, also a good mix for long-term beginning point. And healthy Gemini honours 2-step process as well. Long-term plans, vision quests, Saturn, Neptune together, August at 1 degree, then each planet retrograde before the return to Aries around February 2026. So quite a lot to do with foresight at the moment. And the last time Saturn, Neptune were in, I think, together was the 1800s in Capricorn. So downloads ideas and lead us forward. But this is quite overwhelming for some people. The downside is gossip, talking without any meaning, no integrity if we're not grounded or rooted with Mercury and Gemini. So be careful there. And if we're intentional, we'll get more messages. Some of the fixed signs like Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio may feel this more and have big developments with help from Mars and Leo around leadership actually and courage. Mars is about confidence, boldly moving ahead. Venus is also approaching Chiron conjunction. And Venus had retrograded March 1st to April 12th. Now more levity options and a sense of confidence moving forward, probably in relationships too. This is a very optimistic new moon in 2025. Stay organised and get these breakthroughs and new beginnings. And the soul is preparing its frequency possibly for big developments, mental, physical, and evolving. And also she mentioned Sedna in Gemini, deeper stories, more learning, discoveries, new research studies, under the surface, kind of bringing to our awareness, and under the oceans as well. And I think Pam Gregory talks about it as well. Moving on to Pam Gregory, mentioned as well. Going back on the 12th was the full moon in Scorpio, which was a super moon, very powerful. And there was a power outage in London, absolute chaos around that time. Also 11th and 12th, lots of volcanic activity around Hawaii with unusual activity. And Pam thinks there's more coming really of that ilk. And she mentioned Ceres with Saturn mid-May active and harvest grain. And also around self-care, especially actually coming in around 9th of June. And she mentioned in January 2020, Ceres conjunct Saturn was about self-care and authority, if you like, and government, and combining self-care and authority. Of course, that was the pandemic and so on. And, we were looking at hygiene and so on. But now in Aries, sovereignty, so self-care and sovereignty are linked rather than, government. So it's a different type of expression and about self-care and the self and managing that ourselves. And she mentioned a Cazimi with Uranus around the 17th and 18th, which peaked and possibly, linked with airline strikes, cyber attacks, and disruptions. Maybe around the 17th and 18th, it was really quite severe with Mercury squaring Mars, with fiery stuff going on and angry speeches and things. And there were cyber attacks with British retail companies as being quite bad. In the second half of May, Saturn last degree of Pisces to the 24th, and there would have been like water issues, shipping things, fishing problems, and we did have something to do with the EU going over the old grounds, and now they've unfortunately, that's affected our fishermen and fishing fleets, so that might be linked. 25th of May, Saturn enters Aries till September 25th, Pam mentions. Sun is exalted in Aries. UK have mentioned a sun dimming program. There's lots of debate on it. We need to step into courage, wisdom, maturity, whole new beginning for us and humanity. And Neptune in Aries and Pluto, huge transit for us all. And she mentioned Algol, people losing their head, meaning going a bit mad around the 25th. Well, we had a terrible attack actually yesterday, the 26th in Liverpool. So, and she had mentioned shocking news. So I don't know if it links. 27th, new moon in Gemini. Sun, moon, 6 degrees, 4 minutes of Gemini. Set your new intentions, what's needed. And Gemini is quite playful, social, about writing, light-hearted, about empowerment, and day-to-day connections and neighbours, as we mentioned. She also mentioned Sedna, Homea, Pluto triangle, Mercury ruling Gemini, conjunct Sedna. And Sedna was the Arctic sea goddess, and her father chopped off her fingers, and they became, as is in myth, dolphins and whales, and they're meant to be very high dimensional, even 15th dimensional creatures. They're closer, in a way, to the divine, and they're coming closer to the surface of the sea. And Mercury conjunct Sedna ignites the myth, she thinks, as well. Planets in Aries about sovereignty, and are we being stimulated? We've got stuff going on with transport very heavily, driverless cars, which I've actually experienced. It was amazing in Los Angeles. Flying cars even. Space exploration, more of that going on. And Gemini is about choices, like more conscious choice with intention, Pam mentions. Jupiter square to nodal axis, issues raised regards belief systems, being shocked out of them. And how are we navigating our choices, she mentions. Become more aware of your choices and your belief system, reflecting our day. Our reality is a reflection of those. And Aries, the street fighter, and Chiron, still kind of fighting the fight. And she mentioned the Yod, a finger of God, and it really linked with Homea, which was linked with Hawaii, birthing an island, the birthing of an island, and reversing aging. It's all very sort of, symbolic, but so regenerating, reversing age, supplements, well-being, shedding disease, and regenerating Earth. And she thinks in July we'll be very much into remembering Earth practices, shamanic ones, and the ancient times, and higher frequencies linked to that, and love of the planet more. And she thinks stay very much more excited rather than fearful. And that's your new moon in Gemini summary. Sorry, it's a long one, quite a big one. Have a great new moon in Gemini. Bye for now.